1990, we were described as the woeful Wallabies, and within a year we'd won the World Cup.
We've got that victory against South Africa to hang our hat on. At various other times in games we've looked pretty good, but overall it's been largely unimpressive.
The teams that are above us all deserve to be there. We're just going through a bit of a lull, and I hope it doesn't continue, but I'm worried this is a continuous trend.
DSPN is brought to you by Novus Glass, proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. The Special Olympics New Zealand National Summer Games is in Christchurch, Otautahi, this December. Across New Zealand, Aotearoa athletes, clubs, volunteers and families are getting ready, training, supporting each other and celebrating as the flame of hope travels down the country. Text Novus to 3598 to support our athletes. That's Novus, Novus, to 3598 to support our incredible athletes at the Special Olympics in Christchurch, Otautahi this December. Notice it, Novus it.
Welcome to the DSPN.
He's given him. Oh, there you go. He was forward.
Oh, a punch-up now in midfield. Fraser's involved.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
DSPN, Greg Marto, Martin, former Wallaby fullback, Triple M Breakfast host, joins us again. And we just want to touch on the year, mate, because all that hope, excitement and promise of Ellis Park, where you racked 36 unanswered on the box, and then the Lions series, where we can argue all year about whether or not you should have actually won that series. And then, 10 losses now in 2025. Can't win a game up on the Northern Tour. What the hell's happened?
Most number of losses by a Wallaby team in a calendar year ever. We've never lost, I think it was 1958 or something or other. We'd never lost all 4 games on our spring tour, or the autumn tour, whatever you want to call it, after so much hope. And that's the worst thing, mate, because we had our expectations as rugby fans built up, and then they just pulled the rug and just went, we're stopped playing. Mate, I've never seen a Wallabies team try so many players before. We haven't stuck to our selections. We haven't got a 5'8", probably haven't got a halfback with Tate McDermott gone. So it's been horrible. And as I've said to you before, when the Wallabies aren't winning, everyone just disengages and says, oh, no, I don't like rugby. And that's where we're at the moment, mate. Really disappointing. Even talking to a couple of the players who are coming home in dribs and drabs now, they're just embarrassed, I think would be the way to describe it.
Wow, it seems hard to get the head around, isn't it? Because, you know, especially after that result against the Box, you just thought, hell, this year...
Yeah.
What is it exactly? Is it not sticking to the same team? I mean, do you honestly believe you've got the players there or not?
I reckon we do, but we don't. Like Will Skelton was that's one of the reasons we went well against the Lions and against South Africa. But as soon as he doesn't appear, he seems to give us that muscle and a bit of belief, someone to follow. Mm-hmm. If you put it down to one player, it would be him and the fact we don't have a 5'8". They're probably the two things, because Will Skelton, his bulk being 146 Ks, 150 Ks, whatever he is, they seem to follow him behind him and get some sort of belief. As soon as he was gone, that's when we went rotten. That and James O'Connor, when you got a 35-year-old and good enough player, but they stuffed him around because Joe Schmidt kept on going, well, we'll use him for this test, but he's not the future, so we need to coach people up. And I'll tell you what, Tane Edmed ate the idea. Tom Liner, they're saying he's not the answer. We don't have any answers. We were thinking we might find it out. I don't know if you saw any of his game. Carter Gordon, there was a little bit of belief, but now he's injured as well. We don't have a 5'8". If you don't have a playmaker, what chance have you got? Doesn't matter how good your bloody centres and wingers and fullbacks are. If you haven't got someone to guide you around with a calmness and also authority and guile, like you guys have got 2 or 3 of them, we ain't got one. So what can you do? It doesn't matter how good you are in the forwards if you haven't got a 5'8".
Yeah, and what it means is outside the top 6, of course, now you're going to be in one of the pools of... I mean, you'll still get through to the knockout rounds because they've added an extra knockout round at the World Cup. I wouldn't worry about that. Just in terms of Joe Schmidt, though, look, we all know he's a great coach. You did mention a couple of weeks ago whether he's a great selector as well. And so does that come into this equation? Like, what's he actually trying to do? And the other bit to that is knowing that he's not going to be there after July next year.
Well, you think of yourself, if you're a player, especially a fringe player, and Joe Schmidt tells you something, you go, hold on, I'm not in the 15 to run on, or I'm not in the 23. Why would I listen to anything Joe Schmidt told me? Because he doesn't believe in me. So you just get ready for the next coach, which will be Les Kiss. Why? I know they're saying, and I was with Les Kiss the other day, and he's going, well, I was contracted to coach the Reds. They should have had him in there right now. He should have been on that tour. He should have been on that tour with Joe Schmidt. it's a bloodless revolution, the changeover from Joe to Les Kiss in terms of they work together in Ireland, they coach together in Ireland, they know each other really well. So in terms of that, it's been a nice one because normally we just go, oh, you've got terrible results, bang. You've had terrible results, you're sacked as Wallaby coach. It's always been a nasty thing. This should be, and I would hope it is, a nice handover to the next coach. But the way the Wallabies are going, we're going to have to start. We've got one season to try to get it right, and I don't know where our 5'8's coming from. That's my major worry. I think we've got enough depth everywhere else. I don't know if we've got class, we've got depth, but we need a 5'8 and we need a bloody good one, and I can't see where it's coming from. Maybe we got it robbed from rugby league, but I can't see that happening either.
So, Marto, when you're talking to Les Kiss, and you said you spent a bit of time yakking to him a week or so ago.
I was with him for a long time last Friday, yeah. I like his philosophy, and he's really kind to the players. Is that a good thing or bad?
Well, what are his thoughts around what does he want Joe Schmidt to do? Is he just happy Joe Schmidt, trying all these players and combinations out, and he's just going to take over from there? Or has he actually got direct input now saying, this is what I want to see? Like, are we actually watching Les Kiss? Oh, okay.
He doesn't have direct input. In fact, he went over because two of his kids live in London. So he went over and went, oh, so you joined in a few sessions? No, I just dropped in for an hour and said hello. I find that hard to believe.
That's weird.
Yeah,
mate.
It is weird. It wouldn't be weird if you said, oh, he's just the Reds coach. But no, he is the incoming Wallabies coach, and I can't believe that he hasn't been given a little bit more in terms of it's the perfect opportunity. Here's a seamless transition, but it appears that, no, they ignored or didn't want to do it or wanted to leave Joe Schmidt. I think Joe is going to continue on. When Les Kiss starts coaching, Joe's knowledge and intellectual property and stuff will still have his fingerprints on it as some sort of advisor sort of thing. So, but I can't see, can you see? I can't see any green sprouts at this time. But the only thing that I lean on is in 1990, we were described as the woeful Wallabies. We beat you guys in the third test in Wellington.
Yes.
I was there, and within a year, we'd won the World Cup. In 1998, Rob McQueen took over the Wallabies, and they were terrible. Within a year, we'd won the World Cup. I know this is ancient history, but it is possible to turn things around in a year, and that's all. That's the only hope we've got, because we've seen something that's good in Johannesburg. We've seen them go all right against Argentina. We've seen them go all right against the British Lions. But then all of a sudden, the lack of consistency from this Wallabies, is that a coach thing? You got to think so. So the fact that Joe Schmidt's checked out and says he's leaving, it can't be a help.
Now, just going back to 1998, you beat us 3 times in a row that year. So you weren't actually that bad that year. I mean, we were awful. We lost 5 in a row.
97, we were what? Sorry, 97, we got beaten by Argentina. So he took 18 months to turn it around. Okay, right. Good one. Yeah, you too.
Do you have confidence in Les Kiss and that he's going to have enough time? See, I would actually think even during the Super Rugby season, surely him and Joe have got to be working together on this, because it just seems weird that all of a sudden I've got this job pending. I mean, I'm just trying to put this, having said that, Scott Robertson knew for 18 months that he had the job and he had no input at all into the All Blacks. Ian Foster's All Blacks
How's that gone for you?
Well, mate, I was going to ask you because, we're sitting here after a couple of years, and I know that you've got much more bigger problems than what we've got, but we're sitting here looking at a team going, hey, have we really improved? And not a lot of us believe that we have. And when you have a guy like Mex who turns around and gives the season a C-, I mean, a fantastic ex-All Black who's, knows what he's looking at and what he's seeing like everyone else. So, no, we're actually a bit glum here. Look, there's development being made. We've got that victory against South Africa to hang our hat on. At various other times in games, we've looked pretty good. But overall, it's been largely unimpressive.
I agree. I don't know about a C- because where does that put the Wallabies if you're a C-? We're an F.
Good point.
I don't know. I even think, and he's a great young fella, our captain, Harry Wilson, I don't even know whether he should be in the team. So, yeah, we've got too much of that going on. We've probably got half a dozen players who you'd say, righto, they will be in every Wallaby team. And that's if you've got 9 players, you go, should he be in there? That's too many. Why? We can't expect to be a top 6 team. We're lucky to be a top 10 team at the moment. So the other thing is those top 6 teams are wonderful teams at the moment. I reckon the All Blacks are still fabulous. South Africa, the teams that are above us all deserve to be there. We're just going through a bit of a lull, and I hope it doesn't continue, but I'm worried this is a continuous trend. We're losing too many players to rugby league, quite simply. Marty, have I spoken to you about that? Rugby's a game played in private schools here in Australia. In Sydney and Brisbane, the 16 GPS schools, we call them, have traditionally supplied all the Wallabies. What's going on now, stop me if I've already taken you down this track. What happens now is all the rugby league clubs will sign a kid at 15 and they'll enrol him in a GPS school and they'll let him play rugby because the gymnasiums are incredible. These are the richest schools in Australia. The gymnasium's unreal. Nearly every single coach in the GPS system in Brisbane and Sydney, and this is where the bulk of the Wallabies still come from, these two systems, nearly every one of those coaches has had Super Rugby experience, so they're getting paid their $200,000 a year just to coach a first 15. And what happens, every single NRL club has 2 to 3 kids and they're on scholarships to go to these schools because they know they won't get arrested, they won't get a girl pregnant, they'll get absolutely unbelievable training, they'll become a little bit more intelligent because they're not going through the state high school system. The problem is they're the blokes running that first 15 team because they're wonderful footy players, but they go straight to rugby league as soon as they finish school. So that's probably 20 kids a year who aren't going into the Super Rugby system are now going, will I play Super Rugby where there's 4 Super Rugby teams, or will I go and play Rugby League where there's going to 17, nearly 18 teams? There's plenty of more chances for them, and that's at the bottom level. That's where Australian rugby's losing it, and that's why we keep on getting further apart from the top nations.
All right, I'll leave you with this. Knock, knock.
No, who's there?
Bazball.
Bazball, bozo ball.
Your brainless ball. I tell you what, I love the fact that next week in Brisbane
and start talking cricket.
Look, and you've got this day-night test coming, and so the Pom's way of preparing is, we won't practice under lights. We don't need to now because that pink ball's not going to do anything that we're not expecting. Come on, Mitchell Stark with that pink ball. This is going to be another two-dayer, mate.
Mate, he was in an interview yesterday, Mitch Stark, who's got the best figures on any person in the planet with the pink ball. He said, it does stuff that I don't understand. Now, if the bowler, it's like Campo playing rugby. If the bowler doesn't know what he's doing, how is anyone else going to stop him? He's extraordinary. And we're going to get our captain back. So let's talk cricket from now on.
Huge thank you to Novus Glass for sponsoring this episode of the DSPN and for being a proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. This December, over 1,200 incredible athletes, along with hundreds of volunteers, coaches and other support staff, will be making their way to Christchurch or Tautahi for the Special Olympics New Zealand 2025 National Summer Games. Novus Glass is proud to be supporting something special, and you can help support the athletes too by texting Novus to 3598. That's Novus, Novus 3598. Thanks again, Novus Glass, for supporting us here on the DSPN. Windscreen, crack or chip, notice it, Novus it.
DSPN.